Welcome to our first 30-day challenge. So this month we decided if we were going to do a 30-day challenge, we were going to start off with a bang and do like the mother of 30-day challenges. And I don't know about you, but I have not stuck to any of my resolutions from the beginning of the year. We are doing Whole30. I did Whole30 once last year and ended up losing 20 pounds last year. So the problem though is that I literally did not give a darn what I was eating from like beginning of Halloween season for us at work, which is like September, through even a couple of weeks ago. So it was just eating to survive and like not caring and not working out, and it was freezing and I didn't freaking care. And it's just a lot of stuff has gone on, and I've noticed that my mental health has not been the best. My physical health obviously has not been the best. And I thought, if we're gonna do this, let's start it off right. Basically what it is you're eliminating five food groups. Those are alcohol, legumes, grains, dairy, and sugar. Okay, so those five food groups, or those five kinds of food, is what you're eliminating. And at the end of the program, what you do is you reintroduce those foods one by one to see how they affect your body. So we're going to do that. You'll see that later on in the video as well, all the things that we did for the reintroduction and how those foods are affecting us. What is expected, or what is encouraged after you finish the Whole30 plan and you do your reintroduction, you see what foods affect you negatively, then the idea is that you limit those foods or you cut them out of your life completely. This is just one of the like support books that they have. There's a couple of different books. There's like a cookbook and stuff. There's books that tell you all about what Whole30 is. I actually have been listening to It Starts With Food and the Whole30, like legit Whole30 book. Honestly, what I would do is I would start with It Starts With Food, and I can put the link to that down below. But It Starts With Food really kind of gives you the background of why Whole30 is what it is, and the links between the different food groups that they ask you to eliminate and how they can affect your body in different ways. Not just your body, but your mind and everything else. So starting, we've actually gone through the whole house and prepped everything that we need to prep, kind of gotten rid of foods that are non-compliant, and reorganized the pantry and things like that. There's actually a reorganization video that I will put the link to. You might want to check that out, of how we redid our pantry to make sure that everything that was in our pantry was nice and compliant and ready to go, so we didn't have to think twice about things. And that has actually been working really, really well. So at this point, we're actually a few days into the Whole30 already. I filmed this footage once before and lost it, so we're starting again here. And I'm actually tracking my progress in this book. And this book is definitely not essential. You can do the Whole30 plan without having this book or even owning any of the other books, because I'm sure you could get them from the library. But this book is really fun because it kind of gives you what to expect. Let me see if I can find a page for you. We'll just, this one, because I jumped to it. Kind of gives you what to expect on this day. A little bit of motivation from one of the founders, Melissa Hartwig. Some frequently asked questions, usually on every page. Or on every day that's there. And then the next page, there's always going to be a hack or a challenge, and then some questions just to help you kind of get through that next day, to track what you ate, how you felt, how you slept, and those kinds of things, just to see if this is really working for you. So in addition to that book, there's this awesome calendar that you can print off of the Whole30 website, and it kind of walks you through the whole 30 days. And kind of what to expect from those days. Very simple things, like of course the beginning says no big deal / I don't know what I'm doing, or what did I get myself into. It says what have I done. And then of course the hangover and kill all the things. So they're really kind of funny. And then you get down to on day 16, you're supposed to be starting to get this thing that they call tiger blood. And tiger blood is supposed to be like this overwhelming feeling of I can do freaking anything I want to do. And it's kind of where your body is finally clean of all of those bad foods and the toxins and stuff that are in your body. And you can finally like have the energy that you've been wanting to have. So we're going to put this on the fridge and we'll follow along. Like I said, we're already a few days in, so you might see that crossed off a little bit later. I'm going to just walk you through kind of exactly how our plan went. The first step is grocery shopping. So it's the morning of day 7 and I woke up extremely early today, like at 5:30 in the morning, and remembered that I hadn't prepped anything for breakfast or lunch today. So I immediately came downstairs and did all of that. One thing that is definitely important on this Whole30 plan is that you think ahead that you're meal prepping, because you can't just run and grab something. So that's a little frustrating. And I mean, I can only be upset at myself for not actually getting up and doing it last night. But so I woke up super early. My sleep schedule's been pretty off, and I don't know how much that has to do with the Whole30 plan or how much that has to do with just feeling overall hot in general. The weather's been a little weird here. So it's been hot in my house, even though I turned the AC down. I'm just not comfortable at night for some reason. So we'll see if next week is any better. But so far this week, the NSVs or Nonscale victories that I feel have been less bloating. I feel better around my midsection. I don't necessarily feel like I've lost any weight or inches, but I do feel more comfortable. I have a little bit more energy during the day, even though I've only been sleeping like 5 hours or less a night. Last night was actually the most I've slept this whole time, which was about 7 hours. I haven't had as many mood swings in the last few days either. Even though days 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, days 4 and 5 are supposed to be what they call kill all the things. So I was supposed to be apparently really angry and frustrated those 2 days, but really I was just tired. Scarfing down an In-N-Out burger before the movie because it's the only fast food I can eat. So it's day 12 and we are at the local grocery store because I realized that even though we'd skipped a few days on the meal plan that I made, so we had some stuff left over, we were kind of at the end of what we had bought the last time. So we've got $50 left in the budget. I'm going to try and get us through the next paycheck to do the groceries. So we'll see where I come in. I hope that after this regular trip, I do have a little bit left because I heard that there are some compliant meals at Walmart, like frozen meals, which will be perfect for me for work on the days that we don't end up having leftovers. So we'll see what happens and what I have left. So that went well. We only spent just under $30. Unfortunately, this store didn't have any of those frozen meals. So we have about $20 left. We're gonna go ahead and head over to Walmart and see what we've got there. Okay, so it looks like the majority of these are compliant. There's a few that have like honey in them or like quinoa or something, but for the most part they are all compliant. Now again, these are the ones that I saw online that I was going to buy, but they don't look quite as appetizing as these beatnik paleo ones. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the lemongrass chicken and the shepherd's pie, and they're only like 2 cents more than the Walmart ones. These ones look incredible and most of them are compliant, but for the price I can't justify buying that right now, but we might try them when we're off round. It's the morning of day 15. We're halfway there and I really hope that I get tiger blood this week because I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I should probably be getting more sleep. So I'm hoping that this next week when I'm planning the menu, I can kind of figure out some easier, like simpler, quicker recipes because cooking has become such a chore. So we're halfway there. So apparently this is what tiger blood looks like for me. Ignore the stain. That is actual wood stain on the floor. I cleaned my entire downstairs, including renting a shampooer and shampooing all of the carpets. So, yeah. It is day 21 of Whole30, and the last 2 nights I have been having the weird food dreams, and those aren't supposed to happen right now. Those are supposed to happen like earlier on, and I have woken up the last 2 nights freaking out that I ate like a whole tray of cookies, and I don't know why, and they're super vivid dreams. It's the weirdest feeling ever. So of course we are 3 weeks in. We are like 2/3 of the way there, and so far we've hit all the major milestones. I know my NSVs, I do feel better. I know I said that already, but even better now than I did then. I feel lighter. Of course, I haven't stepped on a scale to know for sure. I did wear a pair of pants today that I haven't worn in at least a month or 2. And they do feel a lot better in the waist, and they look better. My skin is clearer. I have noticed that it's definitely not as dry as it used to be. My moods, I feel like, are much more stable. I'm able to control my emotions a lot better than I typically do. Normally I fly off the handle like a crazy person. And I'm able to just like let things brush off a lot more than I did before, or that I have been able to recently. So those are some good things. Some bad things, I did have a little bit of gallbladder pain, probably around day 10 or so. So I did research that, and kombucha was definitely a recommended home remedy for that. So I did have a couple of those, which I know it's definitely recommended to do more probiotics and to introduce those while you're on Whole30, since you do eliminate a lot of those other foods that naturally have probiotics in them. I'm not a person to sit down and eat kimchi or sauerkraut like on a regular basis, but kombucha definitely was a good probiotic option. And it did help with that pain, and I really haven't had it since. Just to be safe though, I have been having one, at least one, each week, just to make sure that I have that good balance in my body. So far so good, and I can't wait to see what the next 9 days bring us. And to be honest, I'm really excited about reintroduction. So day 26. And I've noticed that my face is slimmer when I'm looking in the mirror. I've noticed, of course, my skin is a lot clearer. I do feel better. I feel lighter. So we'll see what that looks like in the next few days, and what actually comes to pass on the scale. I have noticed that I feel better inside. I do have more energy to do different things. You know, gardening, things like that I really didn't do before. I've really kept up and made sure that those plants stay alive and that everything is good. I hope that the next few days do continue to bring more Nonscale victories, or NSVs, and we'll see where the next few days takes us. So we are so close to the end, you guys. We have like 4 days left. I can't believe we're done, and we finally finished reintroduction. And I wanted to share all of my Nonscale victories with you, as well as kind of review my reintroduction phase. And I'm going to start with my overall progress. Now, I did not take measurements prior to starting Whole30, but I did, of course, give myself a weight at the beginning and then weighed myself again at the end. And overall, I lost 8.6 pounds, which doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you break it down into the suggested weight loss amounts, which is 1 to 2 pounds a week, that fits right into that. It's right about 2 pounds a week. And I'm actually really happy with it. I'm not upset that I didn't lose more. If I had lost any less, I'd probably be a little bummed. But I do feel really good. Even though I didn't take actual physical measurements, my clothes do fit better. I'm noticing less bloating around my midsection. So I feel like overall, 8.6 pounds is a pretty good amount, and I'm very happy with it. As far as the Nonscale victories go, I'm just going to go through this section in the book that kind of breaks down all of the different possible non-scale victories, because everything that I've pretty much experienced does fit into this. So first of all, for mood, emotion, and psychology, I do feel less stressed. I feel less depression. My emotions, as I've said several times throughout the video, have been a lot easier to manage, and I've actually been able to like stay on top of them and control them a little bit better. So that's really helped in my day-to-day life at work and just at home managing life with a child. As far as physical non-scale victories go, I've noticed fewer blemishes on my skin. My skin is less dry than it used to be. My skin used to be really, really itchy all the time. That has scaled back a ton. Like, I haven't noticed any of that, and I haven't really changed anything else except for the way that I eat. My stomach is a little bit flatter. It's definitely not flat, but it is a little bit flatter than it was before. And the section that's like the spot right under my breast is where I always feel like the most bloated, and that has flattened out a little bit. So that I think is a huge plus. I do notice that there's a lot less joint swelling, and that's something that I didn't really notice was an issue before I started Whole30. As far as the inside physically, more internal stuff, so I've noticed I do have a lot less migraines, a lot fewer migraines. My hands aren't going to sleep as much as they were at night. Of course, I do sleep a lot with my arms up, but they haven't been going to sleep as much as they used to, so I know that circulation is better. I feel like my gums have been healthier too. Flossing sometimes would hurt before, and I've not noticed any flossing pain these last few weeks on Whole30. So I know that that's better. And of course, my heartburn is gone. I have not had any heartburn, except during reintroduction, but I'll get to that point. But I didn't have any heartburn while I was on Whole30. So I don't know what that is. And it's not like I was not eating acidic foods. I was eating tomatoes and beef like all the time. So I don't know exactly how I didn't have any heartburn, but I didn't. So that's helpful. As far as my relationship with food is concerned, I am looking at this kind of overall to include reintroduction. And while I was on Whole30 and everything was very structured and I knew like these are the things I could not eat, I was not binging. I was not, sitting down and eating a whole bag of chips. I was not, because I couldn't. Those things, they were just flat out not happening. However, during reintroduction, I did find myself, I can eat this. It's compliant on my reintroduction. I can eat this whole thing. And that is definitely not a healthy response. Now, I have narrowed that down to be my triggers. So this is going to carry us into reintroduction. So I started reintroduction with non-gluten grains. I had some non-gluten oatmeal in the morning. I had some corn tortillas for lunch. And for dinner, I had some rice with some Indian food. So that day was perfectly fine. No issues on reintroduction for non-gluten grains. So day 4 of reintroduction, I did dairy. And on that day, I had a plain yogurt for breakfast, which I just added a little bit of honey to with some strawberries. And then for lunch, I had a little sprinkle of cheese. And for dinner, I had a little bit more cheese and a glass of milk after that, because I really wanted to kind of test the cheese versus the yogurt versus the milk situation. Just like I expected, the milk did make me feel a little bit bloated in the evening. And the yogurt in the morning gave me a little bit of nausea, a little bit of upset stomach, shortly after that. So I'm thinking that yogurt's probably not something I could do. Cheese so far hasn't seemed to be an issue. But regular milk and yogurt don't seem to be something that I will be reintroducing on a regular basis. So on day 7 of reintroduction, I did sugar, and I did notice that after having a little bit of sugar in my coffee in the morning that I wanted more sugar. Every time I turned around, I was like, oh, I'm reintroducing sugar today. I can have this. No, I can't have that. It's a freaking cookie and it's got wheat in it, which I haven't reintroduced yet. Duh. So I just kept wanting more. I already knew that sugar was a trigger for me, a trigger food, meaning that it was one of the causes, one of the things that made me binge a lot more. And so I was very cautious with it on the reintroduction because I didn't want it to turn into a binge day. Because of course I was eating sugar. But I did notice that it still affects me the same way as it did last year. And it's something I need to watch out for. The other thing that I did notice with sugar is that I got heartburn almost immediately afterwards. And then several hours later, I started to develop a migraine. These are symptoms that I suspected were from sugar, but didn't have confirmation yet. And doing the reintroduction just confirmed that sugar physically affects me in that way. So of course there's the emotional effect with the binge trigger, but then the physical effect is the migraines and the heartburn. So very uncomfortable situation to have migraine and heartburn at the same time. So as I said, sugar is going to be one of those foods that I just try to avoid moving forward. So on day 10, I reintroduced alcohol. I did a little bit of champagne in a mimosa in the morning, and that gave me a little bit of heartburn, but I couldn't really tell if it was from that or if it was from the sugar that was in the orange juice, or what it might have been. So later in the evening, I did make a cocktail with some gin and some sparkling water and a little bit of vanilla syrup. And it was good. I will tell you that much. But it definitely was migraine inducing, and it wasn't like it was a whole lot of alcohol, but almost immediately afterwards I started getting a headache. And gin is not one of those things that does it to me. It's the reason I avoided wine, honestly, on the reintroduction days, because I know that wine gives me headaches, but the gin usually doesn't. And I know the sparkling water doesn't. And I know that the vanilla syrup wouldn't have done that right away, especially with the minimal amount that I put in there. So getting that migraine right away definitely was not a comfortable feeling. So I just stopped, drinking the drink right away. So now that reintroduction is done and I know how these foods are affecting me, I know what I'm going to cut from my diet moving forward. And I hope that you guys are inspired to do a lifestyle change, even if it's not Whole30, something similar to this. If you do the Whole30 program, definitely leave your comments below what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. There's so many communities out there on the internet, Facebook communities, Twitters that you can follow, some Instagram feeds. So definitely, educate yourself a little bit more. I am not the end-all be-all of Whole30 knowledge. I've only done this a few times. I just thought that it would be a fun thing to do for our very first 30-day challenge. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you loved this video, please make sure to subscribe and click that little bell notification so that you get notified every time I post a new video every week. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.